What's good, family? I'm 45 now, and if you're between 18 and 30, I need you to hear me for real. Not just listen, but absorb this. See, when I was your age, I thought time was unlimited. I thought grinding was enough. I thought success was about hustle alone. But now I know what really shapes your life is what you believe you deserve. Everything you're experiencing, the wins, the losses, the setbacks, it's all a reflection of the frequency you move in. That's the law of attraction. It ain't some fairy tale, it's energy. And if you can learn how to direct that energy early, you won't just chase success, you'll attract it. So let's break this down. 5 keys that changed my life. 5 lessons I wish somebody gave me when I was your age. Your mind is the real hustle. That's something most people don't realize until they've already spent years grinding with no direction. You can wake up at 5 in the morning, work 18-hour days, chase bag after bag, but if your mindset is still small, your world will stay small too. The universe doesn't move for how hard you work, it moves for how deeply you believe. It don't give you what you want, it gives you what you expect from yourself. When I was 25, I was putting in crazy hours, no vacations, no rest, no time for myself. I was on the move nonstop, trying to make something out of nothing. I thought that if I just kept pushing, eventually things would break open. But what really happened was I kept running into the same walls, different faces, same patterns. Every opportunity I got, somehow it slipped away. Every plan I made, something always pulled it back. It wasn't until I sat still and looked at myself that I realized the truth. I was still thinking like a person who didn't deserve abundance. I was hustling for survival, not for expansion. See, your outer life is just a reflection of your inner story. The conversations you have with yourself in silence, that's what shapes your future. You could be saying all the right things out loud, but if deep down you're still carrying doubt, that's what the world hears. You can't hide energy. You can't trick the universe. You either believe you're built for greatness or you don't, and life responds accordingly. I remember one night, after another long day of chasing deals that didn't close, I sat in my car and asked myself, what if the problem ain't out there? What if it's in here? I realized I've been planting seeds of fear and frustration every morning, scrolling through negativity, comparing my journey to others, doubting my timing, and just like a farmer who plants weeds, that's exactly what I was growing: confusion, lack, limitation. So I started small. Every morning I'd wake up and say 3 things I was grateful for. It felt corny at first, but it rewired how I started my day. Then I'd speak over myself. I'm focused, I'm disciplined, I'm becoming the person my future needs me to be. I wasn't saying it to sound good, I was saying it to train my mind to believe it. Because once your belief changes, your behavior follows. And when your behavior changes, your reality has no choice but to shift too. Think of your thoughts like GPS coordinates. You might not see the destination yet, but the second you set your location, life starts rerouting you to it. Every thought you repeat is a command to your subconscious. You keep saying, I can't do this. Your mind locks the door. You start saying, I'm capable. And suddenly ideas, people, and opportunities start showing up that match that belief. It's not coincidence, it's alignment. I've seen people with less talent, less connections, less resources win because their mindset was bulletproof. They didn't let doubt take the wheel. They saw themselves successful long before the world saw it. That's the difference. The ones who make it aren't always the most gifted. They're the most consistent in how they think. There's a study that says your subconscious mind controls 95% of your daily behavior. That means almost everything you do, the way you react, the risks you take, the way you see yourself, it's all coming from beliefs you barely notice. That's why it's so important to feed your mind on purpose. Read something every day that builds you up. Listen to voices that challenge you to grow. Stop spending your mental energy on people who drain you or make you doubt yourself. Your mind is your real currency, protected like your bank account. I used to think self-belief was just motivation talk, but once I saw how powerful it really was, I understood why people who master their mind never fall too far. They could lose everything and rebuild it again. Because their foundation isn't external, it's mental. If you take away a man's money but not his mindset, he'll find a way to make it back. But if you give someone wealth without the right mindset, they'll lose it every time. The law of attraction starts in the unseen. Your energy is your credit score with the universe. If you move in scarcity, you attract more scarcity. If you move in faith, you attract flow. And that faith doesn't come from hype. It comes from consistent thought patterns. Every day you choose what kind of story you tell yourself. You can say, I'm stuck, or you can say, I'm in transition. You can say, I don't have it yet, or you can say, it's on its way. The words might seem small, but they change how you move. I remember watching a friend go from sleeping on a couch to owning multiple businesses in just a few years. It wasn't luck, it was mindset. He used to write affirmations on sticky notes and put them on his mirror. Things like, I'm a millionaire in the making. I'm attracting opportunities that match my purpose. He'd read those every day until they became real. Not because the notes had power, but because his focus did. The more he repeated it, the more he became it. If you want to change your life, change what you repeat. Don't let your mind run on autopilot. Be intentional with your thoughts. The same way you schedule workouts or meetings, schedule time for mental training, visualize where you're going, speak life into your goals. It's not pretending, it's preparation. You're programming your spirit to recognize success when it shows up. But here's the truth, it's not easy. You'll have days where fear creeps back in, days where old thoughts try to pull you down. That's normal. Growth isn't about never doubting, it's about not staying in doubt. When those moments come, remind yourself who you are and what you're building. You don't need permission to think big, you just need consistency. Your thoughts are seeds. You can't plant doubt and expect growth. You can't speak fear and expect faith. Every seed you plant has a harvest attached to it. You might not see the results right away, but trust that the roots are growing even when you can't see them. That's how belief works, silent progress before public proof. Every morning, wake up and program your mind like it's the operating system for your whole life, because it is. Say what you want to experience, feel what it'll be like to already have it. Then carry that energy into everything you do, your work, your relationships, your grind. Over time, your outer life will start catching up with your inner vision. You're not fighting for the life you want, you're aligning with it. And alignment starts here, in your thoughts. Before you can hold it in your hands, you gotta hold it in your mind. Because your mind, that's the real hustle. Energy don't lie. That's one of the realest truths you'll ever come to understand. You can hide behind words, behind smiles, behind success or struggle. But your energy, that frequency you carry, will always tell the truth about where you really are inside. Every situation, every person, every opportunity in your life is responding to that energy. That's why some people walk into a room and the whole atmosphere shifts. Nobody even knows why. It's not about money, not about fame, not even about looks. It's because their energy walks in first. They carry a presence that can't be faked. See, energy is communication. Before your mouth says a word, your spirit already spoke. People feel you before they hear you. That's why you can meet somebody who seems cool, but something inside tells you, nah, something's off. That's your energy reading theirs. It's the invisible language of life. You can't manipulate it. You can't Photoshop it. You can't pretend it's something it's not. The universe only responds to what's real. When I was younger, I didn't understand that. I used to wake up frustrated, stressed, carrying anger from yesterday, and then wonder why everything around me felt heavy. My days would spiral the same way. Negative people, bad news, opportunities slipping through my hands. I thought I was just having bad luck, but really I was the one setting the tone. I was vibrating on a low frequency and attracting exactly what matched that. Like a radio, if you're tuned to a station of bitterness, that's all you're going to hear, more bitterness. It took time for me to realize that gratitude is a magnet too. When I started focusing on what was going right instead of what was wrong, my whole life started to shift. Doors that used to be locked started opening. People with better energy started showing up. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. I changed my frequency and my reality had to follow, because the law of energy says like attracts like. If you move with jealousy, fear, or resentment, you call more of that into your life. But if you move with peace, belief, and love, you start to attract things that match that vibration. I remember the first time I tried meditating, I thought it was corny, thought it was for people who had too much time on their hands. Sitting still felt impossible. My mind was loud, racing through every worry I had. But after a while, I started to understand what that silence was doing. Meditation ain't about stopping your thoughts. It's about learning to hear them without letting them control you. It's about tuning your frequency, clearing the static so you can receive your own intuition clearly. Most people don't realize they're operating on autopilot. They wake up, scroll their phones, absorb everyone else's energy, and never stop to check their own. Then they wonder why they feel drained or unmotivated. You have to be intentional with your vibration. Protect it like it's your credit, because your energy is your spiritual credit score. It determines what kind of experiences you qualify for. There was a time in my life when I was around people who always complained. They didn't see possibilities, only problems. And even though I was trying to stay focused, being around that energy started to rub off. I found myself complaining too, seeing life through a negative lens. It's contagious. Energy spreads faster than words. That's why you've got to be careful who you let in your space. Not everyone deserves front row access to your spirit. Some people drain you and call it friendship. Once I started cutting off that noise, I felt lighter. I started replacing that space with people who were building, growing, thinking long term, people who spoke life into their goals. And you know what happened? My energy elevated, and with it, my opportunities did too. The quality of your circle determines the quality of your frequency. You can't vibrate high if you're surrounded by low energy people. I've learned that abundance doesn't come when you chase it. It comes when your energy matches it. You can't manifest peace while living in chaos. You can't attract success if your mindset is trapped in scarcity. The universe is like a mirror. It doesn't reflect what you say, it reflects what you feel. That's why it's so important to check in with yourself daily. Ask, what am I radiating right now? If it ain't peace, love, or purpose, you need to recalibrate. Recalibrating doesn't mean you fake positivity. It means you get honest with yourself. If you're angry, sit with it. Understand it. Don't let it control you, but learn what it's trying to tell you. Every emotion carries a message. Once you hear it, release it. Don't store energy that don't serve you. Holding on to anger is like carrying bricks in a backpack. It slows your walk toward everything you're trying to build. You ever notice how when you're in a good mood, everything seems to flow easier? Traffic moves smoother, people are friendlier, small things don't bother you. That's not coincidence, that's vibration. Your energy sets the rhythm of your life, and when you operate from gratitude, you naturally attract more things to be grateful for. Science even backs this up. Studies show that emotions have measurable frequencies. Fear and shame vibrate low. Love, joy, and gratitude vibrate high. That's why people who stay in gratitude often have better health, stronger relationships, and more success because they're living at a higher frequency. Your body, your mind, your surroundings, they all respond to that energy. Sometimes you just need to reset, step outside, breathe, disconnect from noise, and get back in tune with yourself. I used to take long drives with no music, just silence. That's when I'd hear my own thoughts clearly. That's when ideas came, because creativity can't flow through chaos. You have to create space for clarity. Energy management is self-mastery. It's knowing that everything you touch, everything you build, every goal you chase is being powered by what's inside you. If that power source is off, if it's filled with resentment, fear, or stress, it'll short circuit everything you're trying to do. But when that source is grounded in peace and purpose, nothing can stop you. You start noticing that life begins to move smoother, almost like it's working with you, not against you. That's the law of attraction in its purest form, energy aligning with energy. You don't have to force it or chase it. You just have to become it. Move like the person who already has what they're praying for. Feel like the person who already won. When you walk with that belief, the world rearranges itself to meet you. Every day, you're broadcasting a signal through your attitude, your emotion, your actions. Make sure that signal is clear. Make sure it's strong, because the world is listening even when nobody says a word. Energy don't lie, and when yours is right, everything else starts to fall in line. Environment shapes everything. The people you spend time with, the conversations you have, the places you go, all of it molds who you become, whether you realize it or not. Between 18 and 30, that influence is even louder, because that's when you're still forming the blueprint for the rest of your life. You might think you're making your own choices, but most times you're just echoing the energy around you. The law of attraction don't just work through thoughts, it works through proximity. You attract what you're surrounded by. If your circle talks about goals, about building wealth, about discipline, health, and legacy, then that's the frequency you start moving in. You'll find yourself thinking bigger, acting sharper, moving with more purpose. But if your circle is stuck on gossip, negativity, excuses, and maybe next year, then that's exactly where you'll stay stuck. The energy you keep around you either waters your growth or drains it. When I was younger, I didn't really understand how powerful that was. I used to think loyalty meant staying in the same place with the same people forever. Even when the vibe started shifting, I thought growing apart meant betrayal. But over time, I learned that sometimes outgrowing people isn't disrespect, it's necessary for survival. You can't evolve while holding on to things that no longer feed your spirit. There's no way to rise in a space built for comfort, because comfort kills ambition. I remember there was a point in my life where every weekend looked the same faces, same conversations, same plans that never happened. We talk about dreams but never take action. We talk about money but never learn how to make it work for us. It was a cycle of potential with no progress. And then one day I woke up and realized that 5 years had passed and nothing had really changed. That hit me hard. I had to look in the mirror and admit that my environment wasn't pushing me forward. It was keeping me in place. So I started making changes. At first, it was uncomfortable. I stopped answering certain calls. I stopped showing up to the same old hangouts. I started spending more time alone, reading, planning, reflecting. It felt lonely for a while, but that isolation gave me clarity. When you step away from noise, you start to hear your own voice again. You start realizing how much energy you were wasting trying to fit into environments that didn't match your vision. That's when I learned something powerful. Your environment is either a mirror of your mindset or a cage for it. If you stay around people who think small, you'll eventually start shrinking your dreams to fit in. But if you surround yourself with people who think expansion, who talk in terms of possibility and not limitation, then you'll stretch beyond what you thought you could do. It's not about competition, it's about inspiration. You ever notice how being around someone who's focused and disciplined makes you step your game up without them even saying a word? That's the power of energy exchange. It's contagious. You feel their drive, their consistency, their faith, and it pushes you to raise your own standards. But it works the other way too. Stay around lazy people long enough and their habits become yours. That's why you've got to guard your space like it's sacred. Protect your energy like it's money, because it's worth even more. You can get money back, but once energy is spent, it's gone. Every time you give your attention to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you're spending spiritual currency that could have been invested in your future. Every conversation, every hangout, every decision is an investment. The question is, what kind of return are you getting? I remember meeting a mentor who told me something that stuck forever. He said, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your environment. That hit deep because no matter how big your dreams are, if the people around you don't believe in that same kind of energy, they'll slowly talk you out of it. They'll do it out of love sometimes, telling you to be realistic, don't get your hopes up, play it safe. But what they really mean is, don't grow beyond me. And you can't take advice from someone who's afraid of what you're running toward. I started being intentional about who I learned from. I go sit in rooms where I was the least experienced person. At first it was intimidating. I didn't understand half of what they were talking about. But being around that level of thought stretched me. It forced me to rise. Because when you stay around people doing more than you, it makes impossible look normal. That's how growth happens. If you're between 18 and 30, listen closely. Your environment is your future in disguise. Look at your circle and ask yourself, if I stay around these people for the next 5 years, will I be closer to my dreams or further away? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, that's your sign. You don't have to cut people off in anger, but you do have to reposition yourself with intention. You can love people from a distance and still protect your destiny. There's power in solitude too. When you spend time alone, you start seeing what you really want. Not just what everyone else wants for you. You stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. That's when you find out who you truly are, when you're not performing for a crowd, not trying to prove anything, just building quietly. People might not understand it at first. They'll call you distant or changed, but that's part of the process. Growth always looks like separation before it looks like elevation. The crazy thing is, once you start aligning your energy with purpose, new people start showing up naturally. You'll meet people who speak your language without you having to explain yourself. They'll bring out the best in you because their mindset matches where you're headed, not where you've been. That's how the law of attraction moves. It replaces old spaces with new alignments. You just have to be willing to let go of what's comfortable to receive what's meant for you. I've seen too many people with big dreams get stuck in small circles. They got the vision, they got the talent, but they're surrounded by people who don't see beyond the block, the job, or the weekend. It's hard to fly when you keep walking with people who refuse to leave the ground. Sometimes you've got to take off first and hope that when they're ready, they'll catch their own flight. The truth is, your environment will either grow you or drain you. It will either nurture your potential or numb it. Every plant needs sunlight, water, and good soil to grow, and you're no different. You can't plant your dreams in toxic soil and expect them to bloom. You've got to be around energy that feeds you, not fears you. So be mindful of your space. Be intentional about your circle. Every conversation you have is shaping your mindset. Every person you let close is influencing your vibration. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being better for yourself. Because once your environment matches your ambition, growth becomes natural. You won't have to force it. You'll just evolve. And that's the beauty of it. Once you protect your environment, it starts protecting you back. You'll feel peace where you used to feel pressure. You'll attract opportunities that feel aligned, not forced. You'll stop chasing validation and start walking in purpose. Because when your surroundings match your vision, success stops being something you chase. It becomes the air you breathe. Vision creates reality. Before anything ever becomes real, it has to exist in your mind first. Every building, every song, every invention, every movement that ever changed the world started as a vision that someone refused to let go of. That's the secret. You have to see it before you can touch it. The way you picture your future determines how you move in your present. And when you can hold that image long enough with enough faith, your subconscious starts building the bridge to make it real. When you close your eyes, you have the power to create worlds. The car, the house, the peace, the relationships, the lifestyle, the impact, all of it starts there in the invisible. The world might call it imagination, but it's more than that. It's construction. You're laying down blueprints for your life every time you visualize something with intention. That's how the law of attraction really works. Not through wishful thinking, but through belief so strong that your actions, habits, and decisions start aligning with the vision without you even realizing it. There's science behind all of this. Psychologists call it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you consistently think about. Your thoughts carve pathways in your mind like trails being walked over and over again. The more you focus on something, the stronger those pathways become. If your mind is constantly filled with fear, your brain adapts to that and keeps you stuck in survival mode. But if you fill your thoughts with confidence, abundance, and growth, your brain begins to treat that as your new normal. It starts seeking opportunities, ideas, and people that match that belief. That's not luck, that's alignment. When I was broke, I used to drive through neighborhoods I couldn't afford just to feel what it might be like to live there. I'd sit in my car, quiet, looking at those houses and imagining myself walking through the front door. I'd picture the smell of the air, the light coming through the windows, the way peace would feel after years of grinding. I wasn't doing it to make myself feel bad. I was training my mind to get comfortable with what success looked like. I was showing my subconscious what was possible. Years later, I ended up living in a house that looked almost exactly like one of those. That wasn't coincidence. That was vision turning into reality. People think manifestation is just sitting around and dreaming, but that's not it. Vision requires work. It demands discipline. You have to hold the picture even when your current situation looks nothing like it. That's where most people give up. They start strong, but the moment things don't happen fast, they lose faith. The truth is, everything you're asking for is already forming, but only shows up when you're ready to receive it. And readiness isn't about time, it's about belief. Your vision has to become your compass. Every decision you make should answer one question: does this move me closer to my vision or further away? When you start moving like that, life becomes more intentional. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve the bigger picture. You stop letting distractions pull you off course. You start acting like the person you're trying to become long before the world sees it. I used to wake up and write out my goals every morning, not because I forgot them, but because repetition built conviction. I visualized myself already living the life I wanted, not in a fantasy way, but in a focused way. I'd see myself handling business meetings, traveling, giving back, creating, leading. The more I saw it, the more it started to feel natural. And that's the key. Once your dream feels normal, your mind stops resisting it. That's when opportunities begin to flow, because your energy finally matches your vision. There's something powerful about believing before you see proof. It's easy to have faith when things are working. The real test is when nothing looks like it's supposed to. That's when you've got to close your eyes and remember the image. Hold it tighter. Because the vision is what's going to carry you through the struggle. It's the only thing that'll keep you steady when everything around you feels uncertain. You have to learn how to live in the middle, in that space between where you are and where you're going. That's where the grind happens. That's where discipline meets destiny. When you can keep visualizing the finish line even while walking through the dirt, you become unstoppable. That's what separates dreamers from manifestors. Dreamers hope, manifestors prepare. Sometimes people around you won't understand your vision. They'll think you're delusional for seeing something that doesn't exist yet. But that's okay. It's not their job to see it. It's yours. Most people can only believe what's visible. But visionaries, they believe in the unseen. They understand that the invisible always creates the visible. What you hold in your imagination today will become your reality tomorrow. You just have to stay consistent enough to let it materialize. You ever notice how athletes visualize the game before they even play it? Boxers imagine every round, basketball players imagine every shot, runners imagine crossing the finish line. They're not daydreaming, they're conditioning their mind to perform. By the time they step into the arena, they've already won mentally. That's why they move with confidence. You've got to treat your goals the same way. Visualize yourself in the position you want until it feels inevitable. There's a story I heard once about a man who used to carry around a keychain with a house key on it, a house he didn't own yet. He kept that key as a symbol, a reminder that his dream was on the way. Every time he looked at it, he'd imagine unlocking his own front door. Years later, he bought that house, and the crazy thing is, the key he imagined looked almost identical to the real one. That's how strong your vision can be. When your mind believes something fully, reality eventually follows. But understand, this vision without action is just imagination. You still have to put in the work. The beauty of vision is that it keeps you focused on the why behind the work. It gives meaning to the long nights and early mornings. It makes sacrifice feel lighter because you know what it's building toward. You stop moving just for money or validation. You move for purpose. The more you focus on your vision, the more you'll start noticing things that align with it. You'll hear a conversation that sparks an idea. You'll meet someone who opens a door. You'll stumble upon the right opportunity at the right time. That's not coincidence. That's your vision attracting what it needs. You see it here. You feel it here. It shows up here. It's a cycle of creation that never fails, so protect your vision. Don't let small minds shrink it. Don't let temporary setbacks blur it. Every great thing you'll ever build will start in your imagination. Feed that image daily with focus, with gratitude, with belief. Talk about it like it's already done. Move like it's already yours, because in a world where energy is everything, the moment you align your belief with your actions, the universe has no choice but to respond. That's the power of vision. It's not just about seeing, it's about becoming. You don't wait for reality to change before you believe. You believe so hard that reality has to change to match your faith. When you live like that, your imagination stops being a dream. It becomes your blueprint. And one day, when you look around and realize that everything you once pictured is now your life, you'll understand that it was never luck. It was vision, discipline, and alignment, doing exactly what they were designed to do. Turn thought into form as the magnet. It's what separates dreamers from doers, wishful thinkers from real manifestors. You can sit around visualizing, talking about plans, and writing affirmations all day, but if you never move, nothing changes. Belief without work is fantasy. The law of attraction don't respond to empty words, it responds to motion. When you take a step, when you commit to doing something tangible toward your goal, you're telling the universe, I'm ready. And that one act of readiness can shift your entire life. A lot of people get stuck thinking they need everything perfect before they start. They want the right amount of money, the right connections, the right moment. But waiting for perfect timing is the quickest way to waste time. The truth is, you create momentum through movement. Even a small step today can open doors you didn't know existed. Action builds clarity. You can't see the full picture until you start walking toward it. When I launched my first business, I didn't have much, a few $100s in a pair, no investors, no fancy equipment, no roadmap, just vision, faith, and the willingness to outwork uncertainty. Every single day I did one thing, even if it was small. Some days it was sending an email, other days it was learning a skill, making a call, or fixing something that didn't go right. Most days it didn't feel like I was making progress. But what I didn't see at the time was that consistency was compounding. Those small daily actions were stacking, building invisible momentum that would later turn into something real. Within 2 years, that little idea became something that fed my whole family. That's the thing. The universe rewards consistency, not comfort. You can't just want it. You gotta move like you want it. Every action you take toward your goal sends out a signal, a vibration that says, I'm serious. And when your energy, your intentions, and your actions line up, life starts aligning with you. That's how attraction really works. You attract opportunities because your movement proves you're ready for them. A lot of people misunderstand faith. They think faith means waiting for something to happen. But real faith is day moving like it's already on the way. It's waking up early to prepare for the opportunity you can't see yet. It's investing your last bit of energy into something that hasn't paid off yet. Faith without effort is just talk, and talk don't manifest anything. Effort is what activates the vision. There were days when I wanted to quit, days when I questioned if any of it was worth it. Bills were piling up, plans were falling through, and I couldn't see the results yet. But I kept moving, not because it was easy, but because I understood one thing: motion creates energy. The moment you stop moving, doubt starts growing. So even when I didn't know what step to take, I took vast steps. That's how I built momentum, by refusing to stand still. You got to understand that the law of attraction is not about wishing, it's about aligning. Alignment happens when what you think, what you feel, and what you do are all moving in the same direction. You can't say you want success and spend your time doing things that lead to failure. You can't pray for change and still live in the same habits that keep you stuck. The energy you put out in your actions tells the world what you truly believe you deserve. Think of it like this: action is the proof of belief. If you say you believe in your dream but don't show up for it daily, then what are you really saying? The universe can't trust someone who won't even back their own vision. But when you show up tired, scared, uncertain, and still move anyway, that's when everything starts shifting, because your actions are louder than your doubts. Every person you admire, every success story you look up to came down to one simple truth: they kept moving. They didn't have everything figured out, but they refused to stay still. There's power in momentum. Once you start, it gets easier to keep going. The hardest part is taking that first step, but that's also the most powerful one, because it breaks the resistance. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and realize that, hey, this is the moment. I learned early that every vision tests you. It'll make you prove how bad you want it. You'll face distractions, setbacks, and doubt. But every time you choose action over hesitation, you strengthen your magnetic pull. That pull draws in the people, resources, and opportunities you need. It's like gravity. Once you're in motion, the universe meets you halfway, but you have to move first. When you start taking action, you also build confidence. Action kills fear. You can't think your way out of fear. You have to move through it. The more you act, the more evidence you give yourself that you're capable. You stop overthinking and start becoming. That's how you transform, not by hoping, but by doing. I've met a lot of people with $1,000,000 ideas who never moved on them. They let fear of failure stop them from even trying. But failure is part of the process. Every misstep teaches you something that brings you closer to mastery. You don't fail when you fall. You fail when you refuse to get back up. The difference between people who make it and people who don't is persistence. They both fall, but one keeps walking. Action is how you talk to the universe. Every move you make says, I'm ready for the next level. And once that signal goes out, opportunities start to appear. Sometimes not in the way you expected, but in the way you needed. A person you meet by chance, a door that opens after months of rejection. That's the universe responding to your frequency of effort. I remember hearing this quote once: if you pray for rain, you better be ready to deal with the mud. That hit me, because a lot of people pray for blessings but aren't prepared for the work that comes with them. When you take action, you're proving you can handle what you're asking for. The blessing won't come to people who aren't ready to maintain it. You gotta treat your vision like a job that pays your future. Show up even when you don't feel like it. Some days you'll be tired, uninspired, or frustrated, but consistency is what turns momentum into mastery. Every action compounds, every small move builds muscle. One day you'll look up and realize the life you're living is built out of every little decision you made when nobody was watching. Action is the magnet because it turns energy into evidence. It's what takes something invisible and makes it real. When you move with purpose, when your grind matches your goals, life bends in your direction. You can't always control the outcome, but you can control your effort. And that effort, that commitment to show up, is what draws success towards you like a magnet. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the right time. Start where you are with what you have. Take one small step today and another tomorrow. Keep moving forward even when progress feels slow, because every step is a signal. Every action is a vibration, and the universe always responds to motion. The dream only works when you do. And once you understand that, you'll never sit still again, because you'll realize that every moment of movement, every action backed by belief is a seed being planted, and eventually those seeds grow into the life you've been seeing in your mind all along. Action is the magnet. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can believe, pray, and visualize every single day, but if you never take that next step, you'll stay exactly where you are. Belief without movement is just a wish. You can't talk your way into transformation. You got to move your way into it. The law of attraction don't respond to lazy energy. It responds to action. The moment you start walking toward what you want, that's when the universe starts walking toward you. See, too many people confuse faith with waiting. They think believing means sitting still until something changes. But real faith is movement. Real faith is acting like it's already yours. It's showing up when the odds say don't bother. It's putting in work before the reward exists. You can't sit on a dream and expect it to bloom. A seed can't grow unless it's planted, watered, and cared for. Your actions are that water. Every move you make feeds your vision. When I started my first business, I didn't have much. Just a few $100s, a plan written on notebook paper, and a strong belief that it could work. There were days I didn't know where the next check was coming from, days when I questioned whether I was crazy for even trying. But instead of folding, I kept moving. Every single day, I did one thing that inched me forward. Some days that meant making calls, learning something new, or finding ways to improve the product. Other days, it was just keeping the belief alive through action when the results didn't show yet. And after a while, I started to see progress, slow but steady. 2 years later, that same small idea was taking care of my family. That's the power of action backed by belief. See, the universe responds to energy. When you move, you create energy. When you sit still, you block it. You can't attract abundance from a position of hesitation. You have to move like you already deserve what you're chasing. When your intentions and your steps line up, doors start opening that you didn't even know were there. That's not luck. That's alignment. The law of attraction ain't magic. It's momentum. The more you move, the more opportunities move toward you. Most people never see their dreams come alive because they stop too soon. They expect things to happen overnight. But success is like building a house brick by brick. You can't see the structure right away, but that doesn't mean it's not being built. Every action is a brick. Every failure, every small win, every late night, every early morning. It's all construction. The only thing that can stop that building from being finished is if you stop laying bricks. And let's be real, there's going to be times when it's tough. There'll be moments when it feels like nothing's happening, like you're doing all this work for nothing. But what you don't realize is that the moment you feel stuck is usually when something's about to shift. You just can't see it yet. The universe is testing your consistency. It's asking, do you really want this, or are you just interested? Interest fades, commitment moves, action builds faith. Every time you move on what you believe in, you strengthen your belief. You prove to yourself that you're capable, that you're disciplined, that you mean what you say. And the more you prove it to yourself, the more confidence you build. You can't build confidence through talking. Confidence comes from evidence that you're willing to show up no matter what. Every action you take is that evidence. I've seen people sit on ideas for years because they were scared of failing, scared of being judged, scared of not being ready. But truth is, you'll never feel ready. You just gotta move. Action kills fear. The moment you take a step, fear loses its grip. You start to realize that failure isn't the end. It's just feedback. Every failure teaches you how to move smarter. The people who make it aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who never stop getting up. When I think back to when I started, I didn't have the blueprint. I didn't have mentors or investors. I just had vision and work ethic, and that's really all you need, because vision gives you direction and work gives you distance. The combination of those two creates destiny. You don't need a perfect plan, you need consistent action. A flawed plan with daily effort beats a perfect plan that never leaves your mind. When you start moving, something else happens. You attract people who move like you. The law of attraction works through action, not just thoughts. Once you're in motion, people with similar energy start crossing your path. You meet the right partners, mentors, and opportunities because your energy starts vibrating on that frequency of progress. But that only happens when you're already moving. You can't find alignment standing still. And look, sometimes action means doing things that don't give you immediate results. That's fine. Every step matters, even the ones that don't look like progress. Some days the action is resting so you can recharge. Other days, it's studying your craft, working behind the scenes, or saying no to distractions. Every move that serves your vision counts. Don't let instant gratification fool you into thinking your work isn't working. It's also important to understand that your actions send messages to your subconscious mind. When you take steps toward your goal, your brain starts believing it's real. It begins to adjust your thoughts, habits, and decisions to align with that reality. That's why the more you act, the more you attract. You're training your entire being to move in the direction of success. Action is the language of commitment. You can tell someone you want something all day, but your movement is what shows them you mean it. Life don't reward intentions, it rewards execution. Every time you take a step, you increase your magnetic pull. You start drawing opportunities that match your level of motion. People begin to notice your consistency. They feel that energy of purpose. And that energy can't be faked. So many people think manifestation means sitting back and waiting. But manifestation means co-creation. It means doing your part while trusting that life will do its part. You move, the universe moves. You invest effort, life invests blessings. That's how the cycle works. You have to create the space for your blessings to land, and that space is created through consistent action. There's a saying, God blesses the man who's already in motion. That's truth. You can steer a parked car. You got to move first, even if you don't know exactly where it's going. Direction comes through doing. Every time you act, you get feedback. That feedback sharpens your vision, teaches you what works and what doesn't, but you only learn through doing. Action also builds your reputation with yourself. When you follow through, you start trusting your own word. You stop being someone who just talks about goals. You become someone who manifests them. That internal trust is everything. Once you know you can depend on yourself, you become unstoppable. You no longer need validation, you just need discipline. So when you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself one question. What's one thing I can do today to move closer to my vision? It doesn't have to be big, just something real. Because movement builds momentum and momentum builds miracles. And once that ball starts rolling, nothing can stop it but you. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. That step might be uncomfortable, it might be scary, it might not even make sense right away, but take it anyway, because the universe responds to boldness. The moment you declare, I'm ready, and move like you mean it, that's when everything starts shifting in your favor. So remember, faith is not waiting, it's walking. The law of attraction doesn't just reward dreamers, it rewards doors. Keep your vision clear, your energy strong, and your actions consistent. Because at the end of the day, talk attracts nothing, movement attracts everything. Action is the magnet that pulls your future into your present. So if you're between 18 and 30, understand this, you're not behind, you're just beginning. But what you build right now, in your thoughts, your habits, your circle, that's what's going to define your 40s. Life ain't about luck, it's about alignment. Your energy, your vision, your discipline, they all shape what you attract. You don't chase success, you become it. You don't look for blessings. You create the space where blessings feel at home. Stay solid. Stay focused. And remember, your frequency is your foundation. What you believe is already on its way to meet you.